another important discussion. Today we are looking at university abroad and scholarship application. And for the good and the benefit of our viewers, we are having beneficiaries of this particular project to walk us through the process. Sir and Augustina, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, let me begin from Sir. Sir, briefly introduce yourself to us, then we pick the conversation from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Ima. My name is Cyril Kablanoma. I am a lieutenant in the Ghana Army, and I also double as a biomedical scientist at the 37 Military Hospital. So currently, I am pursuing my further studies in the UK here, doing an MSc in forensic science. And I think it's nice to interact with you all, and we hope to have a fruitful conversation.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, Tina.
My name is Augustina Sabute, and I studied in Montana Tech for my master's in environmental engineering. So I'm an environmental engineer. And then I also had my bachelor's degree in Ghana in mechanical engineering, and also a maintenance planner. I was a maintenance planner for 2 years in Ghana, in Goldfields Ghana Limited and BCM Ghana. I'm currently studying for my doctorate degree in South Dakota State University here in the United States. I'm studying agricultural biosystems and mechanical engineering. So that is what I'm studying for now, and I'm currently working on a research for phosphorus recovery from wastewater. So that is what I'm doing now.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me begin this conversation with you.
Yeah.
I am schooling in Ghana. I have completed my first degree in any of the universities in Ghana. I want to further abroad. Walk us through the process.
Okay. Yeah, I think as you rightly said, we are assuming that after your first degree, the first thing you want to do is to, first of all, ask yourself whether you are ready for postgraduate studies. And if you feel you are ready, then I think the next steps we'll outline will be important for you. If you aren't and you think maybe you want to move into the professional field, it's also allowed. You can go work for some time, then you can still continue. The second option quite work best because you kind of have a lot of professional experience. Like in my case, for example, I had to work for 3 years before applying to go to school. So let's say you are a sharp student and immediately after your first degree, you want to jump into the train for postgraduate studies. I think the first thing you have to do, aside asking yourself whether you are ready, is to determine which area of studies you want to focus in, because you have a very vast field out there. And as we are told, in school, your first degree do not necessarily matter, because from your first degree, you can move into any other field that you want.
Yeah.
It all depends on your mission statement, your vision, your passion, and what motivates you. So you just have to define a niche in which you think you can excel in there. So for example, since I did a science program, I'll be science biased. So
Okay.
let's say you do a medical laboratory technology program. You want to go into postgraduate studies. You have microbiology, you have hematology, you have, let's say, medicine, and so many other programs. You have to select which area you think works best for you. Okay, a lot of people will be applying, but you don't have to necessarily follow them. You just have to define your niche so that when you join the program, it's easy for you to take inspiration from your motivation. Okay, so aside that, the things you need, first of all, are your transcript. Okay, you need your certificate. Then you need your statement of purpose, or let's say your mission statement. And lastly, some schools also require you to write a research paper or maybe to outline your research interest. let me just take the document one at a time. So
Okay.
with a transcript, I think that one is easy to get because immediately you finish uni, your university can issue you with your transcript. So it's easy along with your certificate. You usually have them at hand. The next thing is your statement of purpose. That is why you want to do postgraduate studies. So
Mhm.
as we said, you have to ask yourself, first of all, why do I want to go to school? So after you've answered those questions, then those answers can serve as the main point of your statement of purpose, why I want to go to school. So when you have that sorted out, now why you want to go to school and your research interests are two different things. Okay, now you know why you want to go to school. The second now is why I want to do this program. What is in this field that interests me, that I think that when I join, I'll be able to contribute to that field. Okay, so every school, every program, every scholarship, and how it defines its criteria, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So just to recap for the benefit of those watching, your
Mhm.
transcript and certificate, your
Mhm.
statement of purpose or mission statement, then you need also to have a paper on your research interest.
Okay. Okay. So basically, you have walked us through this process. That first is your readiness.
Yeah.
Are you going immediately after uni, or you are going after a few years of professional experience in the field?
Yeah.
Then the area of interest. So that because
Yeah.
the area of interest will help you to motivate yourself to succeed. Then
Yeah.
after the area of interest, you will need your transcript, your
Yeah.
certificate,
Yeah.
your statement of purpose as to
Yeah.
why you want to pursue that particular course. Then
Yeah.
your research interest.
Yeah.
Okay. Now go further for us. What really goes into the research interest?
Okay. So with a research interest, let me try and come to the level for the benefit of those who are listening, because I
Yeah.
don't want to be technical.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say you want to do a program in microbiology.
Mhm.
Now, microbiology is a broad field. You have virus, you have fungi, you have yes, you have nematodes, worms, and all those organisms.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can decide that, okay, fine, I am looking at, I want to do a program, let's say, that has to do with worms.
Okay.
Okay. So when you pick worms, then you now decide to go a step further to read what has been done in the field of worms. Okay, what are the papers in worms? So you then read on them. Then as you read, you begin to have an idea. Okay, now, let's say when you take worm A, now you use penicillin to treat it.
Okay.
But after some time, let's say the past 4 years, we've realized that penicillin is not effective. So people are now asking, what kind of new drug can we use to treat the worm? You get it?
Yeah.
So that's where now you begin to write that, okay, fine, I want to be a microbiologist. But I want to be a microbiologist because I have observed over the few years that the treatment of worms among, let's say, West Africans, among Ghanaians, or Africa at large has not been successful. So I'm hoping that when I join into the program, I can contribute to the treatment of worms based on 1, 2, 3, 4. So whoever is reading, get a fair understanding that, okay, yes, this is the area the gentleman or the lady wants to specialize in. So it gives the person a fair knowledge of your readiness. And the depth at which you present your research interest also determines, whether you are ready or you are not ready. Okay, somebody can just speak just grammar. Okay,
Mhm.
somebody can also go technical by making references to papers, research papers and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but I'm assuming that whoever is listening did a research project in school. So the
Mhm.
person knows how, has been exposed to thesis
Yeah.
or project work. So it
Mhm.
is the same style you adopt in writing your research interest. So I don't know if I've answered your
Yeah,
question
you
or
have.
if,
You have. You have. You have. Let me bring Augustina in.
yeah.
Augustina, from where you are also coming from, what is the process involved?
Okay, so I'm also a science person, so
Mhm.
I'm going to be biased here,
Mhm.
but I also touch a little bit on the business aspect. uh, what I know on the business aspect. So Cyril has said it all about the preparation. You have to make sure you are ready for graduate school because graduate school is demanding. You have to be ready to go through it all, reading all those papers out there, spending all the hours, the ungodly hours like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. at the lab and everything. So you really have to be ready for it before you apply. So in Ghana, most of us go through the national service. So I, for instance, I knew I wanted to go to graduate school right after the university. I even wanted to go, even I didn't even want to do the national service, but we all know it's mandatory, so you have to do it. So I went through the national service, and before I even started my national service, I started looking for schools. So you just don't look at one school. Once you decide, this is what I want to do, this is my research interest, this is the field I want to pursue. You start looking around for schools and then professors. So like what you do is that for each school, you go to the school's website, you go to their admission web page, you look at their requirement for application, and then you go ahead to look at the documents that are needed for the application. So Cyril mentioned the transcript, the SOP, your research paper and everything. Some of them also, here in US, you have to evaluate, we call it evaluate your transcript. So we have an organization that as a Ghanaian, you have to send your transcript to them, evaluate it before the schools in US accept it. So one of them is called WES, World Education Services. I think it's same with Canada too. So the way our GPA is, or in UMass, University of Mines and Technology, we used to call it CWA. It's different. The way it's evaluated in Ghana is different. So to match it with that of the US universities, you have to send it to WES to evaluate it for your application. And then also, you also have to know that there are some exams, standard examinations that are required. We have the GRE, Graduate Record Examination, and then we have the English proficiencies, IELTS or TOEFL. And then also the business aspect, I know we have GMAT. So you have to look at the requirement for the school. So when you go to the school's website, you go to their admission page, you go to your department, and then you look at their requirement. And then also with my field, engineering, what I know is that you are supposed to contact a professor before you apply. Otherwise, you end up applying to a lot of schools and you waste money. You get admission without funding. And without funding, it's not easy coming to the US because you even go for the interview and you might not be given the visa because they would want to know that you'll be able to stay here in the US to have a sound mind to study. So the first thing you have to do whilst you're on the school's website, you go to the department for the field or the program you want to pursue. Look at the professors, look up the professors over there. They all have their research interest over there. Some of them have their resume over there, and then a little bit biography about them. So you read about them to know if their research interest aligns with yours. And then you email them. Before you email them, there are ways to send emails to a professor. You just don't send the email, like you have to know how to draft the email. And when you Google, you get those things like how to send an email to a professor. You get all those things. And sometimes too, you have to look for mentors. Those who are out there, those who are already in graduate school, approach them and let them know, I want to go to graduate school. This is what I have done so far. I have searched for this many schools. I have searched for this many professors, and these are the professors I am interested in. These are the schools I would like to apply for. And then you write your SOPs, that's the statements of purpose, and then your research. Sometimes some of the schools will require you summarize your bachelor's degree research and then attach it to your application. So you do those summary too. And then you make sure you give that to a mentor or someone who's already in the graduate school to proofread it for you before you apply. You should have it in mind that there are thousands of people out there also applying for the same position. Sometimes too, these professors also post the positions, like when they are looking for students to work with. So they will post they will advertise it out there. So you also have to look out for all those things, PhD positions or master's positions in the area you are looking for. Let's say PhD positions in mechanical engineering, PhD positions in aerospace engineering, PhD positions in ag biosystems engineering. So you just have to look for all those things. It takes a lot of time. It's applying for graduate school abroad is a job on its own. So once you take it upon yourself, you really have to put much time and work into it, and you will be successful at getting that. So the main one here is that here in the US, for my field, I know you have to make sure you get a professor. So once you email the professor, sometimes you can email about 20 different professors from different schools or even from the same school, and you will not even get one reply. But that doesn't mean you should quit. You have to continue. Sometimes some of the professors, the more you send them the emails, like you can send them like 10 emails, they will just eventually give up and then reply your email. They will let you know if they have funding and are interested in working with you or not. So just keep on. Once you see this professor that you really want to work with, just keep on hitting. Send the emails. If you can send it once a week to that same professor, just do it. And they will eventually reply and let you know if they have funding or not.
Okay.
So that is it.
Okay. Let me highlight what you added. You spoke about the WES,
Yes.
World Education Services, by sending your results to them. And you
Yeah.
also mentioned the fact that in addition to that, there are standard exams you also have to, requirements you have to fulfill.
Yeah.
That is for the US and Canada. Now,
Yeah.
sir, what about the UK? Do you have something like that?
Yeah, actually, the UK system is a bit different from the US.
Okay.
And I have to be frank, actually, I don't like the US because it's very, very complicated. Yeah, the UK is very flexible. So
Okay.
if you are flexible like me, I would suggest you opt for the UK or other name. But nonetheless, this is just a joke. The US also has, they've done well academically, the same as the UK. So I think that, as she has said, it's quite a straightforward system. But for the UK, you will need a scholarship for your MSc. Or if you have money, why not? Private funding is also allowed.
Okay.
Just that here in the UK, you might not get a fund from a professor or a researcher for your MSc. Okay, I think that option is always available for those who are moving to the PhD.
Okay.
But for the MSc, so far, I haven't come across that.
Okay.
It's either you are coming as self-funding or you've searched for some scholarship.
Okay.
And for the scholarship, you can Google Chevening Scholarship, which I'm a beneficiary. So I'm here on the ticket of Chevening Scholarship.
Okay.
We also have Commonwealth Shared Scholarship,
Okay.
okay, which is academically minded. I'm sure we'll talk about the scholarships
Yeah, you
later.
talk about the scholarship, yeah.
Yeah, you have Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, and you also have Commonwealth Scholarship in itself.
Okay.
Then another thing which people don't know is that almost every university in the UK offers scholarship on their MSc programs. So when you search for the university, when you go to the program, when you go to the school, be mindful to check on the scholarship, area. You always have the programs and their respective scholarships.
Okay.
Usually, each school gives about 2 or 3 scholarships to each of their students.
Okay.
So while you are applying for the big scholarship, you should also be mindful that each of the departments also offers scholarship to their students.
Okay.
So with ours, it's just straightforward. You just go to the school. When application is open, you just check the university requirement. They usually require your transcript. They usually require your certificate. Then also IELTS. That's for some schools. Some schools also don't require your IELTS. Okay, some schools will only require your WASI English certificate, which you should get above, I think, C5 if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
C5 or C4, one of them.
Okay.
I have to confirm that, yes.
Okay.
So if you have that, you can easily apply, then you are good to go.
Okay.
Also, some schools also require you to submit your statement of purpose. Some schools also don't. That is why I said our system is a very, very flexible. Yes, so that is how the UK runs. Then aside that, as I said earlier, be mindful to check on the school scholarship, because usually every school gives scholarship to their MSc programs. Okay, so the format and the staff follows the same pattern she has highlighted. Okay. Just that in our case, you do not need to send your certificate for someone to certify for you. You can just send it straight to the school, and the school does their selection.
Okay. So from what you have said so far, that means the slight difference is the fact that in the UK, you send a certificate straight away, while in the US, they have to evaluate your certificate for you, your transcript for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about the school times and seasons, when to apply. Any of you could take it up.
Okay, so let me just be biased also, since I'm in the UK.
Yeah.
Actually, the UK schools mostly are open throughout, but you have the active period usually after November, December, January, February. In February, you have most of the schools closing the application. Oh, okay. And this calendar is applicable to schools in Japan, schools in Singapore, schools in Netherlands, Belgium, and Finland. Usually, you have almost all the schools opening after November. That's okay. December, January, February. Usually by February, they've closed. Okay, so usually that's the time almost all the schools open. Okay. But generally, I know some of the schools are open throughout. When you apply, it's as you apply, you get enrolled onto the program. Okay. Yeah, I don't know for that of the USA.
Okay. All right, there's no help us with that of the USA.
Okay, so in US we have the fall semester, we have summer, and then we have spring. Okay. So mostly what I know is that mostly to get funding, most of the students who get funding admitted in the fall semester. Okay. So I think by February, you have to try and then finish. If you're applying in the fall semester, you have to try and finish your application. But then also it depends on the school too. Okay. So as I said earlier, you have to go to the school's website and look at their requirements. So they also have their application deadlines over there. So we have the fall, spring, and then spring, summer, and then fall. So mostly it's for the international students, we come to school in spring and then fall. So you have to make sure, I think for the fall semester, I think for Montana Tech, it was February or April. Okay. That was the deadlines. And then for the spring semester, I think by November or October, you are supposed to be done with your application and then submitted it to the school. So it actually depends on the school. So make sure when you go to the school's website, you know their deadlines. I also want to bring something in here about the documents.
Okay.
So apart from the all what we said earlier, you also, for you to go to the visa interview, you need your birth certificate and then you need your passport.
Okay.
And then also when going for the interviews too, with the US Embassy too, they have their education section over there. So it would be advisable when you have all your documents ready and you have your appointment set up for your interview, at least go to the education section 1 week before your appointment. Just go set up an appointment with the education section. When you go, they will have an interview with you, like a normal interview with you, and then check if all your documents are okay before you go for the main interview. And many people do not know about these services with the US Embassy, but it's really available with them. So just make use of the facility available for you. Yeah.
So they help you to put your documents in order.
Yeah, like you have, so all before you go for the interview, you have all your documents ready. So for confirmation that all these documents are intact, just go to the set up a meeting with the education section. You go to them and then they will review your documents before you go for the main interview. So if one of your documents is not okay, they will let you know. For instance, my bank statement was, the one that I had was an old one. It was past 6 months. So they told me if it's past 6, they need one that is within 6 months. So I had to get a new bank statement before my interview. So if I didn't go for that one, I wouldn't have known that this one was required. So
okay. All right.